Hey everyone! So sometimes when I'm playing a show with my band, we have to cover the light show ourselves. That means we have to figure out how to make sure the lights are not boring, considering that we can't control the light board ourselves. We're busy playing our instruments. How do we make sure the lights are cool and actually follow the instruments even though we have to be completely hands-off? Well, today I'm going to show you how to automate your park hands and have them follow your bass drum performance. Okay, so for our little experiment today, I've got 4 LED park hands set up. In addition to that, you're going to need something that has some sort of sound activation. In my case, I'm using the Venue Tetra control. It's a cool little device. It can cycle through some different colors and some different lighting patterns. Using these things together, it can get you most of the way to what you want to do, but not quite. Let me give you a little demonstration and kind of show you the problem that sound activation mode generally gives you on one of these devices. So what's going on here? Sometimes I hit one thing and the lights trigger multiple times. Or sometimes I keep hitting things and it's not triggering at all. That means that when you go to start playing and you're using this kind of setup, usually what'll happen is the lights will be stuck for a little bit and then they'll just be really super busy. And it's like that no matter what the actual true performance is, what the actual music that's going into it. So even if you're playing a heavy song or a light song, the lights are going to be firing off as fast as they can, which is not going to be great for the audience. So how do we correct this? Instead of using the microphone that's built into that Tetra control, it also has the ability to have a line in on it. That's why you want to use something like that instead of just the sound activation on your park hands, which usually don't have a line in. You might be tempted to say, okay, why don't I just take a signal, take a mix from the front of house, from the mixing board, and just run that into the Tetra control. Well, that is not going to do what you need. Why? Because that signal that's coming in from the board, if you have a full mix, it has tons of stuff going on. It's got all the drums and the guitar and the vocals, and it's gonna be too much signal and it's just gonna be firing off all the time. A slightly better approach to this would be to send just the bass drum signal to a monitor out on your mixing board and then send that to the controller. And this actually will work, and I have done this live before. There is just a couple of issues with this. One is that you're basically wasting a monitor output on your mixing board. So that's not great. And also you have to run a long cable all the way from wherever front of house is to your lighting controller. Now at this point you might be saying, okay, well, why don't I just send the bass drum mic signal directly to the controller? That's not going to work either. Let me show you what's going to happen. I'm going to take a cable. It's an XLR to 1/4 inch. Technically, this cable's unbalanced. I should use balance, but it'll be the same result either way. I'm going to send that straight from the bass drum mic to the controller, crank up the input volume on the Tetra, and we're going to see what happens. So why did this not work consistently? Because the output from the microphone is not yet at line level. It hasn't been amplified up to a signal that's loud enough for the controller to understand. That's why when I was playing normally, it didn't work at all. Only when I was slamming down on the bass drum like a madman was I able to get enough signal to kind of eke through it. So here's the magic that we need to make happen. We need to be able to take a version of that bass drum signal, amplify it, and send it to the controller without needing to touch the mixing board in any way. The first thing that we're going to need is a splitter. One side of that splitter is going to go to front of house, it's going to go to the mixing board so the audience can still hear the bass drum. And the other side is what we're going to use for the lighting control. You should note that when you do this, it will cause the signal of the bass drum to come down a bit. It's not going to be of any consequence, especially if you're using a good quality splitter. Next up, we're going to use this little guy. This is an inline preamp. If you've ever heard of a cloud lifter before, this is exactly the same sort of product. The thing with cloud lifters though is that they can be a little bit expensive, especially for this little thing that we're trying to do here. So instead, we're going to use a product called Fethead by Trident Audio. If you search around, you should be able to get this for about 1/3 of the price of a cloud lifter. Now, does it sound as good as a cloud lifter? Who cares? No one's going to hear this copy of the audio. Regardless of the brand you choose, all of these inline preamps need some sort of phantom power. Usually these would be before your mixing board and it would get phantom power from the board. But we're not using a mixing board in this case. So instead, we're going to use something like this. This is just a dedicated standalone phantom power brick. This one is made from a company called Art, and I use Art because they're pretty cheap and inexpensive. And again, we don't even care about what the sound quality is going to be, even though the Art stuff is actually pretty good. Okay, so far we've got our microphone. It's going through a splitter. One side of that is going to our inline preamp. That's going into our phantom power brick. Now, all we have to do is go from our phantom power brick into the controller. Remember that microphone to 1/4-inch cable I had earlier? I'm going to pull that thing back out and use that to connect everything over. Again, really I should be using a cable that's TRS on the other side, but as you'll see, it makes no difference. It's going to work either way. Okay, perfect. A couple of tidbits for you, some things that I follow when I set things up here. The input control knob. When you're playing, make sure that your light bass drum hits are actually triggering the lights. If they're not, turn that thing up. If your hard bass drum hits are triggering the lights multiple times, turn it down. You'll also notice, and this is just kind of the nature of how this controller works, if it receives no input for a while, and then you hit the bass drum once, it'll ignore that first hit and then start looking at the second and third consecutive hits. Also, if you're playing really fast, consistent 30-second notes, the lights aren't going to be able to keep up with that, but that's probably good for the sake of the audience. Okay, so now let's finally see this thing in action and see how it handles some different beats. So I hope this helps you guys elevate your light show. I do have all the videos coming out all the time, not just tips and tricks, but cymbal and stick reviews, information on how to record your drums at home, the whole gambit of drum related content. So if you don't want to miss out, then don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, peace.